the neon-lit streets of Los Angeles to exotic locales, and perhaps find a little love along the way. But lurking in the shadows are adversaries seeking to crush their dreams, leading to high-stakes battles. With lives on the line, they'll risk it all, fighting against time and formidable forces. Fast and furious, speed, honor, family. It's all about family, see?
Just because there's a pool in the backyard doesn't make the house more valuable. What it comes down to is a 50-50 ratio.
Party on, Sal.
Rock on.
Rock on, sir.
Well,
we're missing a certain somebody.
We are, and we'll get into that in just a second. Rock on, fellow POJCasters. This is the Reverend Sal Marco, the Angel of Death, ordained teaching elder in the Presbyterian Church USA in the validated ministry of hospice and psych chaplaincy.
True. And this is the rockin' Reverend Todd Laddick, an ordained pastor in the United Methodist Church of Greater New Jersey, serving a congregation in Newton, New Jersey, now on lower ground from where Sal currently is.
Mm-hmm. On higher ground.
You are.
As it should be. The preordained higher ground.
You know.
Wow.
I would say something, but I'm not.
And normally you would hear a third voice, that of Pastor Blake Severson, but he is off this month or this episode. He'll be back with us again, hopefully next episode. He's off with his family. We will let him update y'all on what that's about, because we don't want to take that away from him to update y'all. But he'll be back with our future episodes.
Yeah. And he's got some exciting updates for us for sure. So can't wait. But we did decide to, all three of us decided to just go ahead and record this. It's been a while since we have recorded an episode, and there's reason for that, but let's get into it. So that brings us to our Brews segment.
Hey, Todd, how do you know that God loves coffee?
How, Sal?
He had someone write about it in the book of Hebrews.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
Well, I go first because I'm actually drinking coffee.
Okay.
And before I do that, there's another joke I wanted to share with you, because you at points in your life have been vegan. So here's a joke. A vegan and a vegetarian jump off a cliff to see who will hit the bottom first. Who wins?
So a vegan and what jumps off a cliff?
And a vegetarian.
Who wins? I'm going to go with, to see who hits the bottom first, I'm going to go with the vegetarian.
Society
wins. Actually, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Saw that on TikTok this morning.
That is a good one.
Anyway, so
I'm not
drinking...
gonna lie. There's very few I haven't heard. That's one I have not heard, and it's a good one.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Starbucks iced coffee. It's been a while since I had a Starbucks, and I had reward points, so I got a free coffee.
Excellent. I am having, and I'll show you right here. It is, it's from Athletic Brewing. So in a little bit, Sal and I will update you what's going on in our lives and all of that. But right now I have an Athletic Brewing Waves of Sun, it's called. And this is actually a pilot program can. So you see, I have subscribed through Athletic to get a certain amount of 6-packs a month. And by doing that, I got this free glass, this beautifully awesome free Athletic glass. And then I also because I'm a subscriber, can also subscribe to whatever pilot session program thing they have on. So this time it was Waves of Sun. Last time it was Apricot Farmhouse, which was was so beautiful. So here's the Waves of Sun. I've had this before, but I'm going to pour it right here. Oh, it's beautiful. Don't you just love that sound, Sal?
Mm-hmm.
For those not watching. Oh, you can hear it, can't you?
Oh yeah. And that's the nice thing about these non-alcoholic brews,
Mhm.
especially that's a perfect head.
Yeah, look at that.
Allison and I had the Guinness non-alcoholic on Saturday for dinner.
Yep.
It's as close as you can be to a real Guinness. It's not as creamy as a real Guinness, but
But
dang close.
otherwise, it's
Pretty dang
100%
close.
like one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you still get the same. You get the fizz up with the nitrogen. You get the nice thick head.
It does everything you want a Guinness to do, nothing you don't want it to do. It's just it's slightly less dry.
Yeah.
It's slightly less dry because of the no alcohol, obviously. But otherwise tastes like a dang Guinness. I mean, it is a damn good. I just said dang and then damn. Yeah.
So take our word from 2 beer drinkers that non-alcoholic is it's not O'Doul's anymore. It's some
no
legit stuff.
Yeah, and Athletic, and I'm sure we've talked about this before because I know Blake loves them. Athletic is exclusively non-alcoholic. That's all they brew, and they have a proprietary way of doing it, so it doesn't compromise the flavor. So you are tasting beer in all of its variety, but you're not getting the unhealthy alcohol part of it, or the buzz, or feeling like you're tired afterwards. It's beautiful, beautiful thing. So Waves of Sun, cheers. The head's still going there, and I'm going to take a sip. Oh, it's so good. I'm guessing an IPA or it's something like that, but it's hoppy. Definitely bitterness to it, but just crisp, smooth, beautifully tasty. I also have a tropical sour that I had yesterday because I didn't think to save it for today. But that is one of the best sours I've ever had, alcohol or otherwise. And they put up their beers in competitions against beers with alcohol, and they have won. So they're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's pretty good when, obviously Budweiser's been making O'Doul's forever, but all of the big craft breweries are getting into the same atoms. Brooklyn.
Yep.
They're all getting in Heineken, Guinness, they're all getting into it. So,
and they're all good. The ones I've had anyway. I haven't had Brooklyn's, but I've had Heineken. I've had Sam. Obviously the O'Doul stuff. And Coors used to have Coors Cutter. Now it's Coors Edge, but it's pretty much the same deal.
yep.
They all basically taste like the non-alcoholic version of their regular self. So people have got, and O'Doul's to their Budweiser, even though I'm not a fan, to their credit, were really one of the first to do it. And it has no flavor, but then I beg you to tell me what flavor the original Budweiser really has. So I mean, it tastes like non-alcoholic Budweiser. It's what it tastes like. So why it took so long for everybody else to catch on, I don't know, but I'm glad they are. I really am. It gives people options.
Yeah.
And so and I think this is though we would normally go into our music segment, this kind of feels like a good place for us just to update where we are in our lives. I'll start off because this segues from what I was just talking about. And that is the last time we recorded, I was a bit larger than I probably appear now. Now, if you're listening to this, my voice sounds the same, maybe even a little more hoarse because I just got over a sinus infection, but that's a whole nother thing. But I was in the 270s probably the last time we recorded, and today I weighed in at 233. So basically what I have done is I've gone mostly back to vegan. There are certain things I still need to work on, but I've gone back to pretty strictly vegan. I have given up drinking any alcohol. I don't care what it is, any alcohol throughout the week. And well, the week meaning my weekend kind of starts on Thursday. My Friday is Thursday evening, so I go, thank God it's Thursday. So Thursday is the beginning of my weekend, and I will go to Angry Eric and enjoy beer there. And if I go back during the weekend, I do. If I don't, I don't. But that's where I'll have my regular beer. And then during the week, I drink Athletic if I'm in the mood. And when I'm in the mood, the Athletic is there and it tastes just as good as regular beer. I enjoy it just as much, and there's none of the nasty side effects. So between, cutting out having beer during the week and also going back to vegan and being more active, I have lost 43 pounds. Yeah, that's where I am. And I'll say this. Cheers.
Cheers. And you can tell, for those of you watching, you can tell that Todd has lost some weight. So a little update for me. You may have heard in the introduction there, I said validated minister in hospice and psych chaplaincy. Since our last recording, I was very unceremoniously laid off from my hospice job while I was on vacation. To put it nicely, while I was on vacation, got off a duck boat in Boston to a voicemail from my boss saying, please call me. And I called her, and it was a conference call with two folks from corporate who said, this has nothing to do with your performance, but we're eliminating your position. I know this is a bad time to do this. I said, hell yeah, it's a bad time. I'm on vacation. So, and that was day 2 of our vacation. So ruined the rest of our vacation.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
But needless to say, through some good friends, the next day I had an offer with Greystone Hospital here in New Jersey, the infamous psych hospital. So it's with the state, so it's taking extra long for them to get anything done. But apparently they're ready to onboard me when they get around to it.
When they get there. That's right. And are you there? You're there part-time and doing per diem, or
it's a contract part-time, 28, 30 hours a week. And then I'll be doing per diem hospice with Atlantic Healthcare.
So it's part-time, but more than part-time, really, not like 20 hours or less. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But less than full-time, part-time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 3 days with the hospital, 2 days with the hospice.
Okay.
Until I can find some full-time.
Yep. And then you said you were doing per diem work?
Per diem is the hospice.
Is the hospice. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. With
the chance of going full-time.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. No, that's good. And it's better to have that than to be at a place that's, going to call you on vacation to let you go, when they could have done that before vacation started. Which would have it would have frustrated you in the moment, but then you'd have been like, F it. You would have gone and enjoyed your vacation rather than, oh God, you gotta love companies.
Oh yeah.
And they're supposed to be in charge of compassionate care. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
well,
yeah.
So there we are.
I'll bite my tongue.
Yeah.
Because I did technically sign a what do you call it? Severance package package that said I would not disparage the company, so I will not disparage the company.
No, well we didn't.
But I will agree. I'll agree with anyone who does.
Yeah,
I will not personally.
Well, not personally do that. I might nod my head silently. can't hear somebody's head nodding, by the way. And we didn't even mention said company's name, so
No.
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, you just gotta wonder. You gotta wonder about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess, Sal, it's been a while since we've done this, so brace yourself. But this I think brings us to our
most excellent music segment.
Get you every time if you're not ready for it.
this edition. Whatever this edition is.
Yes. After a break edition.
Yeah.
You want to go first since I went first with the
Um, yeah. So I mean I don't have any like specific song to share or lyrics to share, but what I have been doing is getting back into making mixes like I used to do with cassette tapes back in the day. And I used to be really good at mixing and blending songs together by just starting the tape a little bit at the back into the end of the song and then press record, and they kind of go right into each other. And well, now they have this thing called it's called D, as in the letter D, Jay, DJ, uh DJ Pro AI. So there's some artificial intelligence involved, I'm sure. But it's a software that you can get. You have to subscribe to it. But it's like $50 a year. So if you break that down by 12 months, I mean that's dirt. It's dirt cheap. So well worth the subscription. Anyway, you can use it like a DJ. I could just go into a bowling alley, set up my computer, speakers, and DJ with this thing. And you can do neural mixes. It has, I think this is where the AI comes in. It has an automatic function where it'll do it for you and figure things out. So I've been making these mixes, and the latest one I made is called A Demon Hunter's Tome. And it's just music that I go to when I'm struggling. Which is why, by the way, behind me, for those watching, this is Demon Hunter Storm the Gates of Hell, which is my go-to album. So number of songs on that mix from Demon Hunter that I listen. Storm the Gates of Hell being one of them. I Am You, Follow the Wolves. There's a whole bunch of really good songs on that album. So I guess if I'm going to, for my most excellent music segment, I guess I'm going to recommend Demon Hunter, Storm the Gates of Hell. If you've ever been in a place where you're struggling, whether it's addiction, whether it's insecurities, whatever it may be, this album encourages you. Granted, it's heavy metal, be aware of that, but this album encourages you to storm the gates of hell. And I love the song I Am You when he says, let us rise, we can burn this together. That's what it's about. That's what Christianity is about, standing together. And I hate it when people think that they're supposed to always feel good. Like, I come to church to feel good. How dare you bring me down? It's like, well, you're coming to the church for the wrong reason. You should come to church to worship God. Whether you feel good or not, let God decide that, right? Was Jesus feeling good on the cross? Like, we were so attuned to like how we feel that we forget it's not about how we feel alone, but how others feel as well, and we can be there for them. And that's what this whole album is for me. So anytime I'm going through a tough time, I pull to it. So thank you, Demon Hunter, for Storm the Gates of Hell. It is everything that heavy metal ought to be. I mean, if you're storming the gates of hell, there's not much else you won't storm. So that's my my segment.
Very nice. Yeah, I've been listening. I don't have one. Oh, excuse me. One set song that I'm gonna talk about, but I've been listening a lot to if you're a big Last Kingdom fan from not Netflix, they just released recently Seven Kings Must Die, which is the 2-hour movie event to like end to go along with the books, because the series only went up through book like number 5, and then Seven Kings Must Die covers the last couple books.
Right.
So I've been listening to that soundtrack a lot. It's good just to have in the car, and it calms me down, and I play it when I'm putting Alex to sleep, and that kind of stuff. But then I also found a project called HolyName. It's Christian. Guy named Tommy Green. I don't really know him very well, but basically it's him working with a whole bunch of different people, including Ryan Clark from Demon Hunter.
Oh, cool.
Brian Headwelch from Korn. His background is Pentecostal, like charismatic Pentecostal Christianity, but I guess according to the page on the record company's page, there was a time where he went through a very dark period of life, and I guess had some death and darkness around him. So he started exploring Orthodoxy and Orthodox liturgical history. So it's his attempt to merge Pentecostal charismatic faith and Orthodox tradition. So
wow.
Yeah, so they have a new album called Initiation live in Chicago. So there's a like I said, there's a song on there called The Sect with Ryan Clark.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the project again?
HolyName.
HolyName. I'll have to check them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
anything with Ryan Clark in it is going to be good for me.
Yeah. So that's
cool.
That's my choice.
Well, rock on. Excellent.
Yeah.
Which then I guess brings us to our main topic today. And I thought we could just since it's been a while since we've been on the show, I thought we could just simply talk about a challenge. We have many challenges in our career, I'm sure, but a challenge that we face regularly in this season in terms of conveying something theologically to people, something theological that we're challenged with to convey in the current season we're in.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It is. I can go first, or you can if you have something. Either way.
You can go first.
Okay.
Gives me a chance to solidify my thoughts.
Your thoughts, yes. So in this particular season, and I don't know, I've been dealing with a lot of challenges in my life, but also in my ministry. And one of the challenges is, the state of the church I serve, the state of every church being served following the pandemic. It was announced in March officially that my church would be going part-time, which then meant that I more than likely would be appointed elsewhere, or I would stay at the church I am part-time, but be appointed to another part-time church as well to make it a full-time appointment. But more than likely, I was going to be appointed elsewhere. And then by May, it was the opposite of that. They weren't able to work that out, so I ended up staying at the church full-time. Now, the reason why we were going part-time is due to finances. So obviously to stay full-time another year, we were going to have to, do things, and the conference was going to work with us and all that. So, that's happening. So I've ended up staying here another year, which is great. I'm excited. And if I can stay here longer, that'd be awesome. I love this congregation. But while I was dealing with that, I'm also recognizing the only way that a church is going to grow, and I'm not even talking about just numbers. I'm talking about growth, spiritually, growth across the board. The only way a church is going to grow is if it truly believes what it says it believes, if it truly embraces the gospel, believes it's the good news, so much so that it needs to share it with others. Unless a church does that, growth is hopeless, because all you're really asking people to do is to wake up early for tradition, to sit in a pew, to do things that are meaningless because you don't really believe, right? Like, and that's and most people in our society now have said, yep, we opt not to do that, and they're not coming. Why? Because if they did have faith, it was nominal at best. It was
It's just another civic activity.
yeah, it's something they did as kids. They grew up doing it. It was something. And today, if you see many people who fall in that category, they come to church on Christmas and Easter alone, and that's tradition. That's what that is. That's like, oh, we still hold on to this tradition, but it's meaningless otherwise. I'm not saying it doesn't have sentimental meaning to them. It does, but spiritual meaning,
Yeah.
yeah.
I often tell my pastor colleagues that I often serve their congregation who can't get there, but I also serve a lot of people like you're talking about who culturally have always identified as Presbyterian, Methodist, Catholic, whatever. Maybe go once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Yep. But it doesn't have that deep faith, spiritual, theological understanding. It's a cultural identity.
It's a cultural identity, right? It's cultural identity at best, civic religion at worst. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's at worst, but it's certainly lower on the totem pole. And then, so one of the things I've been realizing is the church has, myself included in the past, turned evangelism into such a dirty word because we fear what other people think about it. So we use the word evangelism, and then we have to preface it immediately with, well, we don't mean, and then we go down the list of all the bad ways you can possibly evangelize because it's been done. And this is what people think of when they hear evangelism. So we say, well, we need to get back into evangelism. But what we mean by that is,
or in the sense,
yeah, go ahead.
Or in the sense of at least my denomination, PCUSA, maybe the UMC as well. We avoid it like a hot potato because it's the last 40 years it's got that political connotation, and it's like you said, well, we're not that. Well,
we allowed it to be hijacked by people that were doing something we should have shut down right from the beginning, and we didn't. I think because it was convenient for us not to. Hey, if like people are gonna get more influence in government, then maybe that'll help us all. I think that was kind of the laissez-faire attitude people had. And so you have this religious right movement that grows, and their way of evangelism is turn or burn, boycotting concerts, telling women that they need to be subjected to they have to subject themselves to the opinions and desires of men because men are superior. And you've got kids going to youth conferences with pictures of aborted babies. I mean, that is, when people think of evangelism, that is what they think of. At the very, very least, they think of getting in someone's grill and handing out tracts. So I've been thinking, like, we really need to grow in evangelism. And so this year I did a study. We just finished it not that long ago, but we did a study on George C. Hunter III's the Celtic way of evangelism, where he looks at Patrick and the Celts and how they evangelized across Europe. And it's a much different way than the West has, Rome in particular, but certainly evangelicals and others in modern time. It's a different approach. I remember remember the show the way of the master with Kirk Cameron and Ray Comfort.
Yep.
And their thing was, you don't need to build a relationship with somebody. You can just go up to them and talk to them and build a relationship in a second. No, you can't. No, you can't. You do not know that person. You've never walked in their shoes. You don't know where they've been before. You have no clue. Yeah, you can ask them a few questions and know a few facts, but you do not know that person. And then you're going to what? Assume that, because the assumption is from their very, very Calvinistic, in fact, neo-Calvinistic view,
Neo.
everybody is a sinner, of course. So they don't even have to ask you if you're a sinner, because they've got a set of questions to prove you are. And of course, we are all sinners. I don't disagree with that, but so is Ray Comfort. So
very loosely in that term, Calvinistic, and they're
very loose.
Depravity, but open up with well, do you steal? Would you steal? Is it wrong to steal? Very
have you ever stolen a pencil?
Where if you look at it, that's not reformed in any way, or Calvinist in any way. That's moralism. That's legalism.
It's total legalism. Right. And so what they're trying to say is that you're going to go to hell even if you stole a pencil, because stealing is stealing. Whether it's if it's not yours and you took it, you've stolen. It could be a paperclip, you've stolen. You are a sinner and you're going to hell. I mean, first off, it makes God's going to send me to hell for really? Is that what sin is? Because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure missing the point on what sin is to begin with. It has nothing to do with what I've done. It has to do with who I am. how I came into this world, what state I am in. Like, I could be perfect in terms of doing nothing wrong, and I'm still a sinner. So that's just whatever. So yeah, very bad, very uncool approach to evangelism. So what I did was I showed Patrick's side of things, and Patrick did the opposite of that. Patrick went into a community, got to know the community, became a part of the community, and let people come to them to approach them about what was cool or not, but always being inviting of people joining their community, no matter what they believed or didn't believe. And over time, they would learn the customs of Patrick, but Patrick was also learning the customs of the people, and they would blend together, and nobody was harmed by that. That was a life-giving way of evangelizing. And so recently I decided to start putting this into practice and invite the church to do it with me, to show them what evangelism looks like. And I did that by starting a small group called Theology on Tap at Angry Eric's. And we meet the first Thursday of every month, and we just show up, have some beer, pray for each other, and just talk about whatever. Usually something theological, but just general discussion. Lasts an hour. It's a lot of fun. And what people are seeing is all you have to do in order to bring the good news is be present among people. The way I got to be able to know the people at Angry Eric is just simply by being there, and being there regularly, and getting to know the people who work there, getting to know the owners, getting to know the people who sit at the bar. And they all know me. So then my coming in and leading a small group there isn't going to shock anybody. No one's offended by it. And people were actually, quite frankly, intrigued. Like, wow, a Bible study in a brewery. Nobody's seen that before. So, so that's what's been my challenge is getting evangelism across to people. That evangelism isn't something you do. It's who you are. It's shining the light of Jesus in everything you do. And everything you say, and the words you speak, the air you breathe, everything should be Jesus. And where none of us are perfect that way, but if we live that kind of life, then every bit of our relationships are going to be evangelism, period. And nobody's going to think twice about it, because you're not showing up with a tract at their door unannounced trying to beat them over the head with a Bible.
That reminds me of a quote by Ed Dobson I used to always share with that facility I used to work at down the hill from you when you were actually on higher ground.
Yes.
And I would always tell them that my job and their job, but my job specifically was to show up and shut up, just to be present, which I think is part of what you're talking about with St. Patrick. Just show up.
Yep.
And,
show up and just be, and let people come to know you and let you come to know them. And eventually God's going to work the rest of that stuff out. You just have to be authentic to who you are. You can't be a fake. People, especially nowadays, people sniff out fakes like that. We're always being told to believe this, believe that, buy this, buy that. We're trained so good to sniff out fakes. And not only that, but we have people trying to scam us, and they get better and better at it because people are getting really, really good at sniffing out fakes. So if any Christian thinks that they can evangelize by being fake, like walking up to somebody, introducing yourself, and 3 seconds later thinking you know them enough that you can judge them and tell them where they're going for eternity, you're not gonna succeed. That's fake. And you're gonna turn people away. You're not gonna attract them to Christ.
No. And even Calvin would have told Mr. Comfort and Cameron there that even he, the inventor of, or the refiner of predestination and double predestination, is even he doesn't know who's going to hell.
Right. Yes. In fact, he would say that nobody knows. You can't assume one way or the other. Even for himself, he had no clue. Yep.
The hope is that we're the elect, but the reality is we don't know.
Yeah. Live like you are, but you don't know if you are.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, comforting. Anyway.
Yeah.
True, comforting. So now on to you, Sal.
All right. Well, I kind of highlighted some of the struggles with my ministry earlier on in the podcast of being laid off and having to start all over again. But I mean, I face some of the same challenges as Todd. I do. Like I said, my ministry is, since I don't have a congregation per se, I'm a member. Well, kind of a member of. I go to a church every Sunday where I am part of the congregation. My wife and boys are members. I'm not, because of my ordination. My membership belongs to the presbytery.
Yep.
I'll bite my tongue on that one.
Yeah.
But so my daily interactions and my daily ministry is, like I said, to those who are unchurched, culturally churched, civically churched. Majority of my contact is with a lot of Roman Catholics. So I find myself, so theologically, my CPE supervisor very wisely told me in CPE, and she was a rabbi. So I got very Christian advice from a rabbi who told me that if you feel like it doesn't honor Jesus, don't do it. Which kind of ties into one of the few things I like from my denomination's recent changing our constitution to allow for the ordination and marriage ceremonies of LGBTQ folks, is that one of the guiding factors for that was that Jesus is the Lord of our conscience. So there's that freedom within our denomination.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with hospice and hospital work, that's really how I have to handle my ministry. Because, I'm a Calvinist Reformed pastor by ordination, but a multi-faith chaplain by rule.
Yeah.
That's my role. So I have to go into every single encounter informed by my Calvinism and my Reformed theology, but also be open enough to Like this week, last week, I have a patient and her sister who haven't been to a Catholic church in 20 years, but they have a high, like many Catholics,
Mhm.
have a high veneration of the Eucharist. So,
Yeah.
oh, I've got the host in my car. Let me go get it.
Mhm.
And they were okay with it.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
is that technically against the rules? Yes. But what happens in chaplaincy stays in chaplaincy.
That's right. And honestly, it's against man-made rules, not God.
Yep.
I mean,
So-
if those people show up to heaven, is God going to be like, no, he wasn't cool. If it had been that priest across the street, I would have been okay with that. But
Mhm.
that's not my body anyway. I don't know whose body that is. That's not my body or blood. I mean, like, we really do make God out to be. I mean, I understand to guard the sanctity of the sacraments. I understand the need to do that, but we almost miss the point of the sacraments. They're ordinary things that God, not us,
Yep.
God has made holy. So whether it is a Catholic priest doing the blessing or a Methodist doing the blessing, or do we believe God is so petty that God's not going to bless the sacraments for a dying person because it's the wrong priest?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the wrong theology? I mean, that's how petty we are. The question is that how petty God is? I opt
Right.
to say no.
Yeah. And that's my running thought on it is there are means of grace, God's grace, not ours.
God's
So
grace, right?
I understand. And obviously I always tell families, these are sacraments of God. I by my ordination, I can provide them to you. But I understand if you feel more comfortable having it be from your priest or your clergy, but I am here to give it to you.
Yeah.
And nowadays, 95% of Catholics are like, oh, cool. Okay. You know,
If you give it to me, it's fine.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Unlike 95% of theo bros who are like, no, Catholics are heretics. Get away from me with that.
Oh, I hate
So,
that. Yeah, you know what? I've long said this, and people need to not misunderstand what I'm saying. But I have long said that I would rather be on the list of heretics burned at the stake than on the list of those who burned them. And what I
Yep.
mean by that is not that I want to be a heretic or I'm longing to be a heretic. I'm not. But to be in that place where you say God no longer deems your life worthy, I'm going to burn it to ash because you don't think the way I do. I don't care how wrong they may be. Really?
Yeah.
That's your godly response to that? Now, I'd rather be burned to the stake than the one who burns someone to the stake any day of the week and stand before the throne of God. Because at least the heretic can go, oops, I thought it was true. What can the person who burned somebody to the stake say? Oops,
I was defending you, God.
I was defending you even though your word said not to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would rather be on the list of people burned at the stake than on the list of people who burned others to the stake.
Yeah. So that's my main struggle is I really do value being a chaplain because it's a it's a multi-faith experience. I come from it from a specific point of view, but I feel like if I was in a church, I would be all right. I gotta toe the company line and
Mm-hmm.
preach this or preach that. Don't get me wrong. But if we say if we say we're Methodist or Presbyterians or whatever, I expect you to preach what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my role in chaplaincy, and I fully believe, and this is the problem with my denomination anyway, is that we don't trust that my call as a chaplain to serve outside the church is as valid as Todd's call to serve within a church.
It's just as valid. I could say it's more valid. I don't think it's more valid. It's just as valid because honestly, the people within the church are being equipped by pastors to do what? Go out into the world. And so if a person then who is equipped in a church by a pastor is called to be a chaplain to go out into the world and spread the good news, which is the Great Commission, what better way to do that than to be with families who are grieving, to be bedside by people who are dying, to be walking alongside people who are going through any situation. I mean, that's what chaplains do. That's what pastors do. That's what ministers, any minister does. That's what we all should be doing. So I agree. And I think that's the case even in the Methodist church, maybe a little less so. I think we have more of a system, but not much more of a system for what we call extension ministry. Extension ministers have to kind of report. They're kind of out on an island by themselves. And there really is no, when I say system, there really isn't a system now that I think about it. There's no like group of, like an extension ministry caucus where people get together and, stay connected to the conference. You're kind of expected to do that on your own, which if you're working in a place that's not connected to your church, how, where do you find the time? How do you even think to do that on your own? So people are getting lost to the cracks, I think. And I think that's a shame on the church's part. Like if you're ordaining people to be chaplains, you should support them as chaplains. Otherwise, don't put that as an option.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of when I tell colleagues that I'm the guy that catches all your congregants who fall through the cracks.
That is so true.
That's great. Great for them. I'm supporting the broader work of the church, but the church is not supporting my ministry.
And that
they are, but they aren't.
Yeah, they are. And that's why I said, I would say it's probably similar between the two. Maybe healthcare and stuff is different, but no, I don't think it is. Because I don't think it is. I think you get healthcare from wherever you are working. And if you're working outside of the church, you're getting healthcare outside of the church. So I think it's pretty similar. And yeah, I mean, they're supporting you in the sense that they've confirmed your call. They've given you permission to go do this, and you can, but that's it. I mean, that's the support.
Yep.
No, they include you on comm if you want to be on that or something.
They include me as I have all the rights and privileges as a pastor, but not necessarily always the acknowledgement. But there is the understanding that they've affirmed my call and set me aside for that, and and they've basically given me my credentials. So if any hospital or organization says, "Well, how do we know that you're really a pastor?" I can say, "Here's my certificate of ordination.
Right.
Here's my paperwork."
Right. Yeah. 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 So I mean, it's and I don't think the church does that intentionally. I just think they're not on the other side, and they're not. They don't listen to people who are. They're not good at listening sometimes.
and modern day chaplaincy really is a new, relatively young discipline. I mean, when you think of, there's always been chaplains, but historically, chaplains, at least when they started in the Church of England, were just parish priests who were assigned to a royal or whatever, but they were a parish priest the rest of the week, and then every now and then they would do a special go out with the army or the troops or whatever. And so historically it's been a military role set aside, but they were still parish priests or pastors.
And that still is the case when you look at fire departments and police and other organizations that will ask a local pastor to be their chaplain.
Whereas the modern day medical healthcare chaplain is really a specialized ministry in the last 150 years.
Right.
So like anything, it takes our denominations a while to catch up. So we're just getting caught up 100 years later.
That is correct. And they will eventually get there. Like I said, I don't think the church is intentionally doing that. I think it's just an ignorance of sorts. If you're not there, if you're constantly focused on perish, then anything that's not perish falls kind of through the cracks. So it's a kind of a blind side, I think, is what it is.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, it can be, it can be challenging to be in ministry, and but it's also, I'm sure you feel this way too, Sal, but I think every career choice comes with its challenges and its pros and cons. But I don't know about you, but I wouldn't change what I'm doing for the world, because it is what I'm called to do. And in the rewarding side of it, when things are going the way, lining up with God in God's will, and things are going the way that you envision them to go, and you're sitting next to people and getting to know them and helping them and seeing the growth in them and all of those things, you can't put a price on the kind of reward that you get in this line of work. Though you do get challenges that a lot of other people may not get, because it's just the differences in what we do versus what other people do. As far apart as chaplaincy and pastoring may seem, they're a lot closer to each other than most other careers are to us. Yeah.
Yep. Because regardless of whether my title is a chaplain or pastor, I'm still a reverend, and for most families, I'm still the pastor that came in and prayed with their loved one. So
you're a reverend, I'm irreverent.
It's all irreverent.
No, yeah. But yeah, and by the way, you see what shirt I'm wearing? The Party
nice.
on John cast, baby.
Rock on.
I fit back into 2XL. I actually fit into XL now.
Nice.
But it's a little form fitting, so 2XL's I'll still opt for. But yeah, so well, I think we had a pretty good, well-rounded conversation. I don't know if you have anything else to add to this, but I obviously, to our patrons and to our listeners, we obviously haven't recorded very consistently this year, but as you heard, and there's much more, I'm sure, for both of us to tell, and probably stuff we wouldn't tell anyway, at least on the air. But it's been a challenging time for Sal, for myself, and I know for Blake. And Blake is I think it's been a time of also kind of renewal for all three of us. So we obviously love putting these shows together, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're hoping to get on track to being a little more consistent than we've been. But we do thank you for hanging in there and tuning in and listening to these. And if you have any suggestions of what you would like to listen to, go for it. Let us know.
Yep. Sign up for that Patreon.
Yeah, sign up for that Patreon. Find us on X.
Yep. For the X or Threads, or we gotta start a Threads.
Is it called Threads now?
Well, Twitter's now X. Threads is the new Twitter substitute from Instagram.
Oh, okay. Threads, yeah. So go to Threads.
I'm thinking, just because, excuse my language, but X has become a shit show.
It has. I've thought about leaving it, truthfully.
I think we should
get off it.
Get off of it and move over to Threads, or
done.
Just for
done. Yeah.
So we don't get lost in the
abyss.
The abyss of MAGA and all that craziness.
Yeah, and with all the did I say indictments out loud? I guess I just did. Out there, it's going to get louder and louder and louder, and and then add the obviously the political campaigns. Oh God, here we go again.
Yeah, I find myself posting on Threads more often and just doom scrolling, and
it's through. Is it through Instagram or is it its own thing?
It's its own thing, but you can get it through Instagram. I'll
send it to me, and we will so hear this is breaking news, everyone. Look at the ticker tape. the party on John. Oh no. We are going to be on Threads, and our handles will remain the same. Mine is the_rockin_rev, and Sal's is
The Angel of Death, Reverend Angel of Death.
Reverend Angel of Death. So there you go. If you we'll keep them the same as X, formerly known as Twitter, but while Elon Musk blows that whole company up, we're gonna go to. There's a whole bunch of them. Like if you're really political, you can go to Truth Social, obviously, which is the conservative version of Twitter, or you can go to now Tribal, which is the progressive side of Twitter, or you could go to Threads and just not get into any of the politics. So Threads, see us there. Facebook, we're there. Instagram, we're there. God, YouTube, we're there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching us. Come
That's
on,
right.
folks. Come on in. And by the way, did we say Patreon?
Patreon.
We are there.
For the cost of one of these, you can support us monthly.
Right. Yes. And probably for the cost of one of these, when I don't know, maybe not. Break down $15 divided by 6, probably less than less than this. But 2 of these and you could have a subscription. Or no, maybe one of those. Were you doing the math? Sal's doing the
No.
math.
I'm
Oh.
changing my my
Handle?
name on my handle on Threads so it matches
Perfect.
Twitter.
Perfect. Yeah, there we are. All right, folks. Well, this is it, and we obviously thank you for tuning in. We want to encourage you to check out all of our episode notes. There won't be too many of them today, but you can check out our song choices and beer choices and all of that. And remember, be excellent to each other.
And don't be a jerk.
Rock on.
And if you're a Patreon subscriber, hang on for the bonus Shithouse Theology.
You know it's coming.